Okay, here's the interface of the machine itself. And from this interface, we can see most of the parameters we need to adjust. And what does it mean for all those parameters? Let's see one by one. And the first one is power. And the power, normally we use the 30 watts machine. So the maximum power is 30. So from 1 to 30 watts, and we can adjust. When we start with this machine, normally we use very low power. For example, we start with 1 watt or 2 watts, and for starting the treatment. And for different skin problems, we will use different energy. And the point spacing, the spacing means, as you can see, this mode is the scanning mode. The scanning mode, that means when we shoot out and within the square, and there are many small dots, many dots, and one by one, for each dots, we can adjust all the dots. For example, the spacing is for adjusting the distance between 2 dots. So you can imagine that if the distance between 2 dots is bigger, that means for the treatment, and it's less energy because it's the distance between the dots is big. But if you make the distance between the 2 dots very short, and that means the energy per square meter is also much higher. So when you are doing peeling and you need to make the distance between the 2 dots very small. But if you do just the normal skin rejuvenation, you don't need to adjust the space in a very tight space like that. For this one, it depends on different situation and different treatment, and we need to adjust the dots, and it's very important, the spacing. And pulse width. Pulse width means for each laser light, there are many dots for each dot, and how long we want this laser light to stay on the treatment area. Yeah, that means if you make one shot, and if the laser light is staying on the skin for a longer time, that means more hotness and more energy. That means more burn. That means the treatment area is more severely being treated. But if you adjust the pulse width much lesser and very short, that means the laser light goes very quick, just that will finish. But if you do very long, it will be da. So that means treatment place needs to afford more energy from the laser light. So the laser width is very important also. So as long as the laser width is bigger, and the energy is also stronger. Depends on what kind of treatment you want to do. You need to adjust it in a very good way. And also, we are always suggesting that if you are new with the CO2 laser, if you are not familiar with the machine, with the skin problem, and we are suggesting you to use very low energy for starting. So that means you can adjust the pulse width very small and for starting. And when you are more familiar with machine, you can increase the pulse width. At that time, you already know very well how to control the pulse width in a very good way. Aimed light. Aimed light is that we have the LED. It's for as an aimed light, so it's a red color. So before you do the treatment, and you already can see a red square on the treatment area. When you finally do the treatment, and the red square will be the final treatment range you are going to do. For the aimed light, it also can be adjusted, and the energy of the aimed light. For some treatment, and some doctors, they don't want to have very strong aimed light. Just show a little bit, that's enough. But if the light is very strong, sometimes you cannot see very well, very clear about the treatment area. So it depends on the actual situation how you are going to adjust it. And we have 5 levels to adjust the aimed light, like from between 1 to 5 you can adjust. And the scanning time, is as long as you do the scan, that means you do one-time scanning. If you adjust as scanning time as 2, that means even though you set all the power, spacing, pulse width, everything, if you double the scanning time, for example, scanning time is 2, that means you are using the same power, same spacing, same pulse width, but you did 2 times. That means for one place, one hole, one dot, and you did 2 times shots. That means energy is double. So be careful of using this function also. And same suggestion, if you are not familiar with the machine or skin, and we suggest you to use scanning time as 1. And when you are very familiar with all the functions of energy, you can double the scanning time. Because sometimes if you use the scanning time as 2 and you do the treatment much deeper to the skin, sometimes depends on the treatment, and sometimes the treatment result is much better because it can go much deeper to the skin tissue and to do a much deeper treatment and to give the hotness to burn that very thin hole. When the skin recovered, the skin will be much better. Sometimes the energy is stronger and the result can be better. But there is one condition, is you must be very familiar with the energy, also familiar with the skin problem. And then you can adjust whatever the energy, all the parameters. We can see there are different photos. There is a square or a circle, triangle, like that. And so for different ones, and we are using for different places, the different skin treatment, different areas. For some areas, like big area, and normally we use the square one, and that is the most widely used. Yeah, but for some places, maybe we need to change into circle or triangle. Depends on the real operation. For the size of the square, for the size of the treatment place, it can be adjusted. You see the different line, there are 4 lines, and the lines can be adjusted and the size can be adjusted. So depends on the treatment area you want to do, and you just can adjust the size of the treatment area to make the square bigger or smaller. So that is the interface about the scanning mode.